Life without rice is unimaginable for most people. For most Asians, a meal is incomplete without a plate or a bowl full of rice. Rice provides us with enough energy to get through the day. It satisfies our hunger like no other food can. Rice feeds our families. We owe rice on the table to farmers who grow the golden grain. Since time immemorial, rice farmers have fed the world through painstaking and back-breaking work. One institution claims to have modernized rice farming for the benefit of humankind.
These primitive methods are inefficient, wasteful of human energy. Can modern science help these people grow more rice? Two American foundations think that it can.
Today, 50 years after the International Rice Research Institute introduced the Green Revolution, farmers have not seen any significant improvement in their lives.
Kung doon sa pagtatrabaho sa lupa o sa pagsasaka, hindi kasi yumayaman ang mga magsasaka. Bakit? Dahil nga napakalaki ang gastusin. Sa isang anihan, kung minsan gumagastos ako ng 10,000 pesos per hectare.
The Green Revolution had made rice farming wholly dependent on commercial seeds, pesticides, and fertilizers. Now, a typical rice farmer thinks that a good harvest is not possible without these inputs.
Ako partikular ay gumagamit ako ng konti-konti lang. Mahirap naman yung hindi mo lalagyan ng abono at pestisidyo ang inyong pananim. Yung katabi mo naglagay ng maraming abono at pestisidyo ay lumaki ang kanyang ani.
Erie has shaped the way a typical rice farmer thinks. The headquarters of the International Rice Research Institute sits on more than 200 hectares in Los Baños, Laguna, a province in Luzon, Philippines. Here, it trains an army of scientists and farmers that conducts field and laboratory experiments on rice. Worldwide, Erie is at the forefront of developing so-called modern rice varieties.
I think the biggest challenges that face us are sustaining the high levels of productivity that are going to be needed to feed populations that are still growing.
Erie claims that these varieties uplift the lives of millions of farmers and help save the world from a food crisis. But it was a different crisis that Erie sought to diffuse when it was created half a century ago.
One strain developed here has been called the miracle rice. I'm glad to know that the Institute is prepared to make these seeds available to all nations, whatever their politics and ideology. If we're to win our war against poverty and against disease and against ignorance and against illiteracy and against hungry stomachs, then we have got to succeed in projects like this.
Hindi po pwedeng tumahimik, hindi po pwedeng magpinipilihan at nagpupulagan sa panghihimasok sa karapatan para sa pambansa.
Rafael Mariano, chairperson of the peasant movement of the Philippines, believes that Erie was actually created as a tool for counterinsurgency and for opening up new markets.
Erie was created by the U.S. government to the Rockefeller and Ford Foundations to transform the backward agriculture of Asian countries to quell the unrest of peasants struggling for human land reform. There have been armed revolutionary struggles in various Asian countries at that time. After World War II, big agro corporations needed wider markets for their products. the ERE technology, green revolution, propelled and propagated the use of ERE varieties that require the massive use of agrochemical fertilizer and pesticides. ERE headquarters was set up in the Philippines because Marcos was a rabid puppet of the United States, and Luzon was the hotbed of Philippine Communist movement. That's why the provinces of Nueva Ecija and Bulacan became the pilot areas of the Green Revolution technology pushed by the International Rice Research Institute.
Farmer Mike Kaliwag still recalls how the government promoted ERE's high-yielding varieties, or HYVs, which buried them in debt.
Minsan, nakausap ko yung isang technician, ano ba yung gawain ninyo dito? Naglalakad kayo, tinitingnan ninyo yung palayan. Sabi nila, tulong daw ng gobyerno. Pagka raw hindi gaano umaani, ay susuporta ang gobyerno para lumaki ang ani at maraming aanihin at maraming makikinabang na tao. Ganun ang paliwanag. Okay lang ka ako, maganda yung ng ating gobyerno. Pero ang problema naman, saan kami kukuha ng pambili? Napakalaki ang gastos niyan. Napakamahal ang abono at pestisidyo. Sabi nila, pwede kayong mangutang.
Huli-huli naman tayo si Panyon. Tama ba?
Kung katandaan mga picture mamatay yung mga yan. Kapag na ako 5 taon patay yung Skeparan.
Unknown to many, Erie itself is indebted to hundreds of rice farmers who used to occupy the land on which it now stands. Presidential Decree 457 allowed the University of the Philippines to acquire lands for research. Through this decree, Erie took the land from farmers in exchange for a small amount of money and the promise of work.
Ang kabuhayan namin dito nung bago dumating ang Erie ay nagsasaka kami sa tubigan, saka sa katihan, tubo na maitiyatanim doon. Hindi kami nawawalan ng palay. Hindi kami nawawalan ng palay. Ang halaman, hindi rin kami nawawalan ng gulayin. Sapagkat doon sa tabi ng aking tubigan ay ako ay nagtatalim doon ng mga halaman. Talong, sitaw, saging.
Nung ito ay kinukuha ng Erie at UP, nagpunta sa amin si Chancellor Javier. At sinabi sa amin ang mga pangyari na kukuhanin daw ng gobyerno ang lupa ay sinasaka namin. At sinabi na anuman daw ang aming gawain ay wala na kami magagawa. Anuman daw gawin harang namin, wala kami magagawa sapagkat kukuhanin ng gobyerno yan, lupang yan. Sa halagang 25,000 per hectare. Ay wala na kami magawa.
At ang pangako nga ng Erie, habang kami malakas, habang wala kami sakit, kami magtatrabaho habang buhay. At kung mamatay kami, ay automatic na may kapalit na isang anak. Kung sino mong ilagay ng namin.
Erie employed hundreds of displaced farmers as workers on their experimental rice fields. They were exposed to dangerous pesticides that Erie used to develop HYVs.
Ang experiment tayo dan, Indrain, hindi bala ito pwede kasi pantamon yan. Pero lasan din yun. Saka malat pa klaseng kamot. Saka hindi ko lang pagkatandaan ng mga pangalan ng gamot na yan.
Magsasabog sa palayan ng Nason, ng Piordan, mag-spray, yung pamatay ng kohol, linden.
Ay kami naman, wala anumang, wala kahit anong po sa katawan na para panangga sa mga kunalason. Kaya hindi ko na alam kung nangyayari sa amin.
Abay, pagka ako'y nagsabog ng Piordan, ang aking lalamunan, igang-iga. Di siguradong pumapasok sa katawan ko yung gamot na yun. Hindi naman sinasabi sa amin na kayo mag-mask, kayo mag-guantes. Basta ipapagsabog kami. O, siyempre, trabaho namin yung kung may utusan, hindi tuloy ang lagay.
While Erie was showcasing its technological breakthroughs to the world, its workers were slowly being poisoned. These workers were also being denied of the right to organize themselves.
Kami, kaya samahan sa Union, hindi na nga maganda ang padali ng mga ayan. Pero ang gusto nila sila masunod. Ang gusto nila ay yung hindi kami igwal sa kanila kagustuhan.
From 1989 to 1997, Erie implemented a series of retrenchment programs. Union leaders and members were among the first to be terminated.
Kaya bakit naman tatanggalin? Yung pangako nila sa amin habang kaya namin magtrabaho, ay kami magtatrabaho. Pero wala nangyari. Yung pangakong inang-ira sa amin.
Many of the workers would continue to protest their illegal termination and the poisoning of their health for many years.
Gusto marami magpagamot, hindi rin kami makapagpagamot dahil sa wala na kami pera. Ang mga anak namin, napatigil na sa pag-aaral sa dahilan din na wala na kami itustos.
Kaya kagalang-galang ng mga senador, ay kami ay inyong tulungan. Unang-una ay kagaya ko, ako ay nagkasakit na nang matanggal sa Erie. Subaling hindi ako makapagpagamot dahil sa ako ay walang pera.
Sa katunayan nga ho, kapares to kamay ko, nagkaroon na ho ng depresya tungkol diyan lang sa pagkatrabaho.
But the workers' case never prospered because of Erie's immunity from suit. Marcos issued Presidential Decree 1620, which absolves Erie from any wrongdoing under Philippine law. This decree has not been repealed to this day.
Wala rin mga hindi naman makasuhan sila. Gawa ng ginigit sa amin ng Erie, yung PD-security niya. Ay samantalang hindi sa na Pilipinas, nasa bagang Erie. Hindi ba nasa Pilipinas?
In 2001, Dr. Romeo Quijano, a toxicologist from the University of the Philippines, studied the effects of pesticides on the health of these former Erie workers.
At the time, those Erie workers were already dismissed from Erie. And we found that most of them have been affected by the pesticides that they've been using at Erie. I would say more than 60% have mentioned significant ill effects of pesticides that they were exposed to, among which include the highly toxic pesticides like Endrin. At the time, it was not yet banned, but it was already known that it causes serious health effects. And other Category 1 pesticides or highly hazardous pesticides, which included carbaryl and also even the very toxic methyl bromide and zinc phosphide. Very clearly, at the time when a lot of pesticides were known already to be highly toxic, Erie still used these chemicals, and I would say definitely workers have been affected. Some of them actually have died already. A lot of them have died of various serious illnesses like cancer. Many have succumbed to serious kidney failure and also liver disease.
Yung pong aming dalawang kasama ay namatay na rin po sa kidney. Ay, ako po yata ang magiging patatlo.
Si Raimundo Mercado ang presidente namin ng Union. Talaga siya ang sa bisig. Ngayon, nung siya magkasakit na, ay wala na kami magawa. Hanggang sa, yun na nga, dinadaing na yung masakit ang ulo, dibdib, nasakit ang tiyan. Basta lahat na halos ay nasakit. Ganoon nangyari kay Raimundo Mercado. Kaya namatay. Yun namang si Pancracio Mercado, kapatid ko, ay gayon din na nangyayari. Halos pare-pareho lang. Parang nangangatal na katawan. Maski na kwan.
Meanwhile, the remaining former Erie workers still suffer from the ill effects of exposure to pesticides.
Ako'y may diabetes, may hapo, saka raw ako ay may sakit na sa baga. Yun ang sabi ng doktor. Kaya ako, merong dalawang araw akong hinakapo.
Erie got away with the deception and exploitation of its own workers. It also got away with the deception and exploitation of millions of rice farmers who used its technologies.
The germplasm or seeds of this new variety were sent to over 80 countries worldwide. More and more farmers began to grow it and see a difference. The world began to look toward Erie, and world leaders recognized its importance.
By 1970, almost 30% of rice lands in Asia were devoted to high-yielding varieties. This increased to 70% in the 1990s. The Green Revolution did raise yields in the beginning, but it came at a very high price.
One other thing that the Green Revolution has resulted to is the continuous and increasing use of different kinds of pesticides, which started from toxic to more toxic to most toxic and probably unlimited toxicity in the future. Because what happens is that after using for a while a certain pesticide, the so-called pests and the insects develop resistance, and therefore they need to use more of the pesticide. Erie served actually as biggest promoter of the chemical inputs, particularly the pesticides, of big transnational corporations. So in fact, if you compare the size of the agrochemical corporations 30 years, 20 years or even 10 years back compared to now, they have grown in size. They have become behemoths, and they have concentrated their power into a few biggest corporations.
While agrochemical companies made a killing, farmers only grew poorer and more in debt as the costs of production rose and high yields gradually decreased.
Kung magkano man yung nautang o nagamit dun sa paglalagay ng mga abono at pestisidyo dun sa palay, ay yun ay kailangan mo bayaran pagdating ng anihan. Kung minsan may posibilidad namang hindi ka aani. Bakit? Ay kung nabaha, wala kang ibabayad. Sa paggamit ng maraming sinasabi ng abono at pestisidyo, yung lupa ay sa katagalan medyo humihina na. Parang tao, pagka matagal na ginagamit mo yun, abono at pestisidyo, humihina na sa anihan.
Zen Soriano is a rice farmer and coordinator of the Asian Peasant Coalition. She says that the Green Revolution also destroyed traditional rice varieties.
Yung inoffer itong miracle rice na ito, na malaki daw ang ani, dodoblehin yung ani, kaya yung mga magsasaka, hindi na nila ginamit yung kanilang binhi. Niluto na nila ito, o kaya wala na silang magagamit sa mga susunod na panahon, o kaya naman ipinagpalit binhi ng mga technicians na mula sa yung kanilang miracle rice ipagpalit doon sa traditional varieties ng mga magsasaka. So yung mga binhi na traditional ay napalitan ng mga dinumero na ng mga variety ng bigas. Bagamat lumaki ang ani, pero bandang huli, unti-unti na rin lumiliit yung ani dahil nawawala na yung sustansya ng lupa.
Today, Erie and agrochemical corporations have taken what it calls rice science to the next level, genetic engineering. Erie is funded by the Rockefeller Foundation and Syngenta Corporation to do research on golden rice, a rice genetically engineered to produce beta-carotene, the precursor of vitamin A. Again, they claim that the goal is to feed the world.
We now know that 1 cup of golden rice in the daily diet could provide about 50% of the vitamin A needs of rice consumers.
But the real goal is to make farmers even more dependent on commercial seeds and technology.
You don't understand marketing. You don't call this yellow endosperm rice, you call this golden rice. And he said, you've got to have a marketing campaign behind this. You got to make it a treat to eat golden rice. It's got to be better.
Genetically engineered seeds are sold by the same corporations that sell pesticides. With technologies that go hand in hand, they are assured of huge profit and absolute control over farmers. Commercialization of golden rice will begin in the Philippines and Bangladesh in 2013.
Ang vitamin A deficiency, napag-resolba sa golden rice.
But golden rice is being opposed by scientists, consumers, and farmers.
Binheg ang golden rice. Ibibinta ay papadakal sa mga parauma sa napakataas na halaga. Golden rice, tutulan, labanan, ibasura! Golden rice, stop investing now! Golden rice, stop investing now!
Environmental scientist Dr. Chito Medina points out that even after a decade of research, there is still no data to show that golden rice is safe for humans and the environment.
Now, the question here is, can this golden rice solve the problem that is intended to solve? Golden rice is a fat-soluble vitamin. It means to say that any individual who would benefit from vitamin A, from this vitamin A rice, must have a balanced diet, including fats, in order to absorb the vitamin A or beta-carotene, of course. The irony is that poor people have no balanced diet because of they cannot afford to buy all the necessary diverse food that would deliver the balanced diet. And fats is one of the lowest intake because fats is associated with meat and some other more expensive food. So if there is lack of fats into the diet of poor people, even if there is vitamin A rice, still it will not be absorbed by the body. GMOs contaminate non-GMOs. Once the inheritable characteristics are transferred into non-GMO crops, the genes are proliferated. That's a big problem because many of the GMOs right now are pesticidal crops, meaning it contains genes that produces pesticides. So can you imagine that these genes that go into our food systems, then our food will be producing pesticides also.
Ngayon, ang IRI binigyan niya naman sa PhilRice para i-field testing ang golden rice na ito.
Farmers, scientists, and other concerned sectors have, however, exposed IRI and its collusion with agrochemical corporations. Slowly, IRI's mask of benevolence is falling.
Kaya malaki yung pagtutol namin dito sa golden rice na ito dahil baka katulad ng miracle rice, maglaho din lang yung mirakulo nito, no? Baka lalo pa kaming ibaon nito sa hirap dahil siyempre kailangan mo rin lalo mas maraming mga mga inputs yung ilalagay mo para mapaunlad talaga yung palay na ito. Kaya sinasabi natin na i-pull out dahil hindi rin naman ito talaga nakapagpaunlad ng ating sakahan. Kasi sa mahabang panahon na inilagi niya dito, ano ang nangyari ngayon sa ating malawak na sakahan? No? Talaga, at hindi rin napaunlad ang kabuhayan ng mga magsasaka. Kaya ano pa ang silbi niya? No?
We strongly demand to close down IRI out of peasants' lands and agricultural activities, pursue and promote a farmer-centered rice research programs and initiatives, fight for food sovereignty and genuine food security by pursuing an independent and self-reliant policies on food and agriculture, and implement genuine agrarian reform program.
It all begins with separating the grain from the chaff, the truth from the lies. The truth is, there will always be hunger and poverty in a world where there is Erie. Bringing down such a powerful institution is never easy. But then again, as the Filipino folk song goes, so is planting rice. It's the promise of a golden harvest and a satisfying meal with our loved ones that keeps us struggling and hoping.